We even have the governor and our Republican colleagues that are posting, hunt them down and drag them back.
It's that lynch mob mentality that we've seen and realized in the state of
Let
Texas.
me pause and say that again. Representative Johnson,
Mhm.
you are saying they are posting things that are saying hunt them down and drag them back.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they're calling some reps runaways, but they're saying hunt them
Right.
down
On
and
Runaways.
their
drag them
official
back
pages.
on their
The
official
mm,
pages.
Runaways. 20,
Yes.
2025, y'all. 2025. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special bonus episode of At Our Table. I'm your host, Jamie Harrison. Folks, what's happening in Texas is something like we have never seen before. So I thought it was really important to get some of the leaders on the front lines at our table to talk about what's happening in Texas. Because what happens in Texas doesn't just stay in Texas. It also impacts all of us. So I'm excited because I have 4 of the courageous state reps from the Legislative Black Caucus in Texas, and they are joining me today for our At Our Table discussion. And they're all coming from undisclosed locations. They have left Texas to protect our democracy. The Republican governor in Texas, at the urging of Donald Trump, is trying to steal fairly drawn and democratically elected U.S. congressional districts. And he's trying to redraw the maps so that Republicans can gain 5 additional seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. And these seats that they're trying to steal, these are traditionally black districts. Folks, this is a racial gerrymander at its worst. And this is truly next level. So joining me today, again, 4 courageous state reps. First, we have Representative Venton Jones. He was sworn in 2023 and represents District 100 in the Dallas area. This was, I think, the former seat of our beloved friend, Representative Jasmine Crockett. And Venton is a nonprofit CEO. We also have Representative Christian Manuel. He's sworn in 2023, represents District 22, a rural district in Jefferson County, and he previously served as longtime chief of staff to state rep for 18 years. We also have Representative Lauren Ashley Simmons. She was sworn in 2025. She represents District 146, Houston, Texas. We love Houston, and she is a union organizer. And last but not least, we have Representative Charlene Ward Johnson, sworn in 2025 as well, District 139, the northwestern part of Houston, Texas. She's a mom and she's a community advocate. So as I begin the conversation today with these 4 reps, I want to share with you all a statement from the Texas Legislative Black Caucus in which my guests are all members. And I just took a portion of the statement, and I want you all to think about it and let it sink in. Under this proposed map, black Texans would have just 1 congressional representative for every 2 million residents, while Anglo-Texans have far more proportional representation. Basically, this means that in practice, a white voter's voice in Texas carries more than 4 times the political weight of a black voter's. The imbalance, my friends, is just as stark for Latino voters. In Texas, a Hispanic vote counts for about 1/3, and a black vote barely 1/5 of the weight of a white vote. Let that sink in, folks. So under this map, black Texans would have just 1 congressional rep for every 2 million people. Meanwhile, white voters enjoy more than 4 times the political power. So my friends, welcome to At Our Table. Thank you so much for what you are doing. And I just want to say thank you, because I understand that what you are doing is not just for Texas. And I know you fight day and night for your constituents and the people you represent. But what you are doing right now is fighting for American democracy itself. And I just want to say, on behalf of a grateful nation, a lot of us, we just want to say thank you for the sacrifices that you all are making right now. But let's start off the conversation. If you could, if somebody has been out of pocket for a week or two, tell us what the hell is going on in Texas right now. Who wants to start off?
I could start us off.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me and having us to tell this story because I think that all of us would have probably had different kind of plans that we have for our summer, but we're here and we broke quorum to bring awareness to the country around what was happening around redistricting, and not just redistricting, but really this power grab that President Trump is attempting on the backs of Black and brown communities, and the GOP is allowing it to happen. And so we have to be very clear about what's going on. And this is not just about maps. This is once again another attempt at stealing our democracy. And it was something that elevated our concern so much to the point to where we made such a dramatic move to break quorum. And that is exactly where we've been for a little bit over a week, fighting these maps at home, serving our constituents at home, but also having these very important conversations with state and national leaders so that we elevate this to the appropriate level of national attention that this deserves.
For someone that hasn't been paying attention and you ask, what is gerrymandering? So what they're doing is drawing these neighborhood lines to make up these congressional districts. And what they can do is how they're going to dilute the minority vote is breaking up neighborhoods. They can really draw a line down your street that will break you up. They look at the patterns of how people are voting, and then they're going to draw these lines to make it more Republican voters in there, less Democrats, or put the Black and brown people in one little neighborhood so they can have, no, you have a minority vote, but they don't pack y'all all into this one little congressional district. So that's how they're trying to be innovative, creative, to try to gerrymander, and it's going to be racial the way they draw those lines, and it's diluting the congressional districts that are minority and Democratic.
That's exactly right. I think the tragedy in this whole situation is that this all started because Donald Trump said he wanted 5 more seats out of Texas. So the maps probably weren't even drawn in Texas. They were probably drawn in the White House somewhere. Right from DC, they emailed them to Abbott, who is the yes man, right, for the president. Yes, sir, boss. I'll do what you say, boss. You want 5 seats? Let me go get them, and I'm going to get them from the Black and the brown communities. I mean, that's the tragic part of this. That Black folks and brown folks are already suffering because of the oppression that they are getting in Texas and from the White House. And now they're trying to make it even worse, that they will have even less representation. And that's the really, really sad part. And we see that it's not just in Texas, trying to do this all over the country now. That Texas, Greg Abbott was the first one to get the call and say, yes, I'll move on it. But it now sounds like Trump is calling other states to do the same thing. So what does this mean? What does this mean? What is happening in Texas? What does this mean for folks in other parts of the country?
I think if we're looking at it in a place of how it's going to affect people throughout the country is if you get 5 more seats in a state that shouldn't have 5 more seats, that are looking at it from a Republican point of view, is this is giving the president the authority to block every single investigation. And let's talk about the 10,000 million elephant in the room. This is the president's play to not have an Epstein file investigation. Let's talk about that one. We want to talk about, Rep. Simmons said it the best. They're trying to use this excuse about flood and we're not being there for flood. Well, I lost 5 constituents from my area, from Jefferson County, who were under the age of 18 who died in this flood. I live in Port Arthur, where we had the highest recorded rainfall. And let's also talk about how when we had wildfires, the governor just gave money. This is a play to give the president, and I'm not going to use his name because he doesn't deserve that. The president is using this to stop investigations into a person who was a personal friend of his, who was sex trafficking adult women and underage women. And this is his play to destroy this country so that people don't find out what he has done behind closed doors. And as we say in the Black community, what is done in the dark will end up being in the light.
For the long term, we have to look at our next elections and possibly having a Congress in play that will not certify our next election, or possibly give the president a third term, which he's already creating hats for.
That's
So
exactly right.
we have to also look at the long-term play that's going on, and something that usually in politics we would say would never happen. But I think anything is possible and anything is on the table. And if the president has the Congress that he needs, we're going to have a real constitutional crisis on our hands. And that's what makes this a national problem on top of the other things that my colleagues are sharing.
And I think that what we're watching and witnessing kind of in real time is just this president's attempt to just test the fence, right? He knows that the guardrails of democracy are not self-enforcing. And I think for a lot of us and a lot of people, our parents' age, we've never really seen anything like this. A lot of this stuff, in my opinion, just kind of felt like handshake agreements, the peaceful transition of power, ensuring that there are three distinct but equal branches of government. And you see this in history. We talk about Nazi Germany and how we got there, but it didn't just happen overnight. People just didn't wake up and they're in gas chambers. It was a slow whittling away of individual rights, norms that we have always abided by, just general respect, and then being able to place and find those boogeymen. And I think for us, and I say this quote a lot, as much as I'm, not into always quoting some of our founders of this country, but when Ben Franklin was asked, what do we have ourselves here? He said, it's a republic if we can keep it. And so I think we have to kind of really get in the mindset of that democracy is active. It's participatory, and we can't wait for somebody to come rescue us. And we can't wait for somebody to come do this, because then you get strong men like Donald Trump who know that, the most working people are overworked and underpaid, and that we're tired, and that we're, distracted. And it's times like that where people like him are able to come in and kind of really just push us back, and kind of, just further whittle down our rights. And so I think on a national level, we have to kind of stand up and really understand what's happening here. And I think it's also a wake up call too for people to really pay attention to local government. Congress is what we see on TV. Everybody loves their US representatives, but you're seeing right now that, like in Texas, state legislators are the ones that are responsible for the redistricting process. And we know that this is not something that was a priority of our governor, even though he has enough bad ideas on his own. Because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think our redistricting committee met once during the regular session. Right. It was when they got the call from, their king and would be Tyrant, who said he needed those seats. So I think we're seeing a lot of different things happen. We're seeing the rollback of our rights, but we're also really seeing just kind of the fundamental delicacy of our democracy and what it takes for it to continue to function.
Right. And what I wanted to add was that what makes this impact the rest of the country, that big bad bill that passed, the budget bill, it was such a close vote. It was such a close vote. And in Congressional District 18, the congressional district that Lauren and I live in does not have representation. Our congressperson passed away on March the 5th. Today is August the 13th. We have been 161 days without a representative in Congress. He wants to make sure he has enough votes to do whatever he can next time. So rather than having us have an election earlier where he could have had another Democratic vote, Governor Abbott chose to delay that vote, where we are still without representation. So what does that mean? We're missing out on funding opportunities. We're missing out on having a voice in D.C. currently right now. And so instead of filling that seat, that's one of the seats they want to redraw and move and change. So that's, and how it's going to impact other people. It's going to give the president more power, because he know what's coming next year is the blue wave.
And also think about this: if we had representation in Harris County in CD 18, the big beautiful betrayal bill would have never passed.
Mm-mm.
And even on a local level, we're heading into one of the most deadly times for Houstonians and people in Harris County. We're in hurricane season, and so for Congressional District 18, and that is a historic seat. That's my late great sorrow, Barbara Jordan's seat. For them to not have representation on the federal level is really putting our people in harm's way, because it's our U.S. Congress folks who are able to go to D.C. and say, look, our people have, we can't prevent the storm, but the response should be adequate, and it should be, good enough for our folks, and it should be swift. And, that's unfortunate.
I mean, when you think about the legacy of that seat, again, Barbara Jordan, Sheila Jackson Lee, Sylvester Turner, I mean, those are some of the most heavyweights in not only Texas politics, but American politics. And what they're trying to do is eliminate the heritage behind that seat and the representation that the people in Houston have had for so long. How did the idea to leave the state to break quorum come about? And I know breaking quorum, and we want to establish this because the Republicans are trying to make it out that you all are doing something illegal. But isn't breaking quorum a part of the Constitution of Texas? Like, you have the right to do that. So if you have a right to do it, it's not illegal when you actually exercise that right. But how did the idea to do that? Did it happen in a caucus meeting? Like, give us some of the background. Like, what happened behind the scenes to get everybody on the same page? Say yes, let's do this.
Well, I'll go ahead. I know that it was always a conversation on the play when we were talking about this. We always knew that this was something that we may have to do. But what we tried to do was do everything to prolong everything to try to see if we can get them to just say, "Hey, look, listen. Just listen. Just understand what you're doing is you're playing with government." We went to all the hearings. Every one of the members here showed up to the congressional hearings, even when they don't sit on it. I mean, there would be times Representative Jones, Johnson, Simmons, they were all there in their respective cities or in the one that was closest to them, and they came and they sat there all the time for hours and hours could be, and then even to the point where we had hearings after the hearings. We had people's hearings where we were listening to people and they didn't show up. The Republicans wouldn't show up, but people would show up. They would talk to us. And it got to the point at the last minute, it was every 2 days we're having a hearing. Then all of a sudden we have a map. Then all of a sudden on a Friday we vote, we hear the maps. Then we vote on it on Saturday. And then it's talking about being on the floor on Monday. I'm going to say, I don't want to speak for everyone else. I think it got to a point where we said, if you're not going to listen to us, then we're going to make the people listen to us, because you're obviously trying to pass this in the heat of the night because you're doing something that you should not be doing. And all we did was shine a flashlight on the evil that was going on in there. That's it.
Exactly.
And this is not this wasn't an easy thing to do, because I want to like drill down even a layer deeper. You all have families, right? So I want the listeners and the viewers to think about this. Think about leaving your family for an extended period of time to go somewhere else, because you're forced to do so. So give us a little sense about how are you all doing? How are you holding up? How are your families holding up? This is almost time for school to start back. So for those who have young kids, I'm sure that it has implications. Give us a little bit about the personal, the real impact that it's having on you and your family and the folks that are working with you all as well.
Did our mothers want to start since it's back to school?
But it is a it is a stressful time, and it is a sacrifice that was needed. We started that session. We sat there for 2 weeks waiting for him to bring up the floods, and he never did. So we had no other choice. We had to use every tool we could. And so, yes, I have 2 kids. My kids are adult kids. My son has started his senior year in college, and I was like, "You got everything," FaceTime and him, and watching the house and making sure my civic club don't get on me about the grass not being cut while I'm gone. But it's a sacrifice trying to be here and away from your families. But Rep Simmons have younger kids, so I'm grateful my kids are a little bit older. But still being away from your family and friends, missing important events in your community, important family events in the community, in your family, you're missing that. But it's a great sacrifice, that we're taking to be here. So it wasn't easy that we came to this decision, but it was a necessary one.
Absolutely. I would say to that, um, I live with my fiance and my 86-year-old grandmother. And it's been a lot, not just because you miss them, which we so do, but also living in a state where they have literally created warning posters for each one of us. They have not only utilized the Department of Public Safety, but also constituted vigilantes to call in on us and come back and get us. And that's a lot because that's led to bomb threats being at our location. That's led to harassment by our families at home, with the governor and speaker of the House almost taunting us, saying, "We know you are at home. We're going to send them to your house to harass, to call, to knock on the door and do that." And so that creates another level of worry. And I think that we cannot ignore as Black people the times that that takes us back to, especially looking at being on the heels of the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Acts, and the bombs and the killings and the lynchings and the water hoses and the dogs and the violence that happen to Black people,
Right.
that we know, especially in a state like Texas, is never too far away. And so that created an enormous level of concern for my family, because I can do all this out here. We can put all on the line for us, but when it comes to the people that we love, that hits another kind of way, and that has been leveraged against us.
And we have
That
members who take care of their moms. They're caretakers who have still their moms at home. That they worry about. They have to make sure that they're eating, have their medication. So I mean, yes, people still have families at home that they take care of, and we want to make sure that they're okay too.
I'm a mother
Rep
of
Simmons,
two.
you have small kids.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a mother of two. I have a 10-year-old daughter with sickle cell disease, and I had to leave her behind. So my
Wow.
children are here now. My son is starting college in a couple of weeks. I had to initially leave them behind because, one, anytime we travel, I have to know where the children's hospitals are. I have to know where the pharmacies are. I have to be able to have a caregiving plan in place. And so I couldn't just pick them up and leave until I was, able to get some ground underneath me. But then we had an incident where my address was doxxed. So somebody tweeted my personal home address out. And so I had to bring my family up to Chicago with me because it just felt safer to have them in the same city, even though it's kind of chaotic. And so it has been rough. It has been rough. My daughter is going to probably more than likely miss the first day of school. We're going to be scrambling, trying to figure out, how we get my son back to, Texas, and get all the stuff that he needs for his dorm. And I have to shout out to my friends and family and my sorority sisters who have been really helpful in that. But it's a lot. And also too, a lot of people don't know this. We're not paid a full-time salary as legislators. The work is very
Yeah,
much
you only get paid
full-time.
what, $7,200?
$7,200 a
600.
Right.
year. So we all have jobs. We all have jobs. We all have full-time jobs that we, essentially have left to come do this too. And so that's an additional, part of the strain, in addition to the, threats that Rep
Yeah.
Jones was mentioning, and all of this, the safety aspect of it. And I think it's also
Yeah.
too to not, we don't, this shouldn't be lost, but we just had some state representatives in Minnesota who were assassinated. And
Yep.
that's a
Right.
very real fear, for us. I think, we don't want to be dramatic, but we also have to be very, very clear and very intentional about just kind of
Yeah.
what this means for us, especially as Black folk. People don't hold back. They don't have as much restraint for Black, elected officials in a
No,
way. And we have to be very,
because
very
they don't
careful.
value us. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
they don't value us in our opinion and our leadership and
Right.
our representation of the people that we represent.
no,
And
because let me just
No.
add this: that we even have the governor and our Republican colleagues that are posting, hunt them down and drag them back.
It's that lynch mob mentality that we've seen and realized in the state of
let
Texas.
me pause and say that again. Representative Johnson,
Hmm.
you are saying they are posting things that are saying hunt them down and drag them back.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yes,
And they call it some reps runaways, but they're saying hunt
Right.
them
runaways.
down
On
and
their
drag them
official
back
pages.
on their
The
official
Hmm.
pages.
Runaways. 20,
Yes,
2025, y'all.
didn't he
yes,
post
2025.
clink clink? Because just
2025.
insinuating that we should be
Yeah.
arrested and handcuffed and dragged back,
Hmm.
and just kind of even just the language,
Yeah.
kind of criminalizing our behavior. And again, we have to be very
Yeah.
clear: we're not fugitives, we're not breaking the law, we're not committing crimes. We are utilizing a
Hmm.
tool that has been used, since the founding of our state. And what's always so odd is who gets to actually, fight back, because this country was built on rebellion. We love to talk about the
Yes.
Boston Tea
Yep.
Party. We love to talk about the way that, our founders, stood up to tyranny and stood up to the crown and pushed back and formed their own union. But then when we are using the tools that we have to stop tyranny, to keep the majority party in check, we're being treated as if we are doing something, harmful. And like I said, again, as Black legislators or Black elected officials, there's just a whole different element when you put us on a wanted poster. And that's what they're doing. They're making these little, silly
Mhm.
AI graphics of us on wanted posters. And I was like, yeah, that's getting real close to a line.
Well, Rep Jones and Rep Manuel, you both been there longer. Are these people that you know? Are these your Republican colleagues that are doing that people
Yeah.
who you have lunch with sometimes or interact with on the
Absolutely.
floor?
Mm-hmm.
This definitely, and Rep Manuel can speak longer to it. Even though we're newer members, he's definitely been in the building much longer than all of us combined. But you're absolutely right. These are people that not only have we worked with, that we have to work with when we go back,
Mhm.
and to continue to move the work on behalf of our nation. And it is to really just see this side of so many of my colleagues has been such a disappointment, because the thing is, when you have now moved into a permanent place of saying the quiet things out loud,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's really trying on you, because you can't take back what you say on social media to rile up your base. This is how you feel. This is your brand. This is what you project. And so the thing is, the one thing that has gone through my head as I even like wrestle with where we are right now, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And so that's what you really have to understand when you're dealing with a lot of individuals. And yes, these are my colleagues, but you have said things that have not only kind of, we've all been in rooms where we've been kind of like, as Black people, literally in our face, otherwise you're not like those individuals, but you've now said this about us.
Mhm.
And you literally have criminalized us. You've sent your base after us. You've sent your people. You've said some of the most egregious things, and some of those things cannot be forgiven.
Has
And
there
I'll
been?
say,
Go ahead, Rep
oh, no, go
Manuel,
ahead.
and
I
then
was going to say, for me, mine is interesting because, as I was saying before, I've been in this building since I was 18 years old. I started October the 1st, 2004. I jokingly say, Google me. For some of these members that are here, they raised me. They taught me the rules. They taught me the process. I've been in the House longer than the current speaker, the speaker before him. I've been here for many years. And so to see that is weird. And one thing that Rep Jones and I have in common is my grandmother is 95 years old, and we both take care of our grandmothers. So,
Mhm.
and they know this. They know that our grandmothers, we don't take care of them like we go and no, they live with us. We live with them. We take care of them. And they know that you're not harassing just us. You're harassing elderly Black people who were born in an age where they couldn't even register to vote. They didn't even have a voice as a woman to vote, but they definitely didn't have one as a Black woman to vote in the segregated South. So it's disheartening. It's sad. And I think everyone else said it the best. It's just it's sad. It
well,
just really is.
my question is: are you communicating with any of these Republican colleagues now, or
No.
any of them texting? Has there been one Republican colleague that you all would say has stood up and said, I'm going to be a person of goodwill, and I'm going to stand up and say this is wrong?
They can't stand up for
Not one.
themselves. They can't stand up. They can't stand up against Donald Trump. They can't stand up for their constituents. So the expectation that they would do anything to stand up for us, no. Now when we come back, it's gonna be real different. It's gonna be crickets, because that stuff they do on social media really doesn't translate. It's very different on the House floor. It's just, a matter of Twitter fingers, getting in the way. But I'm curious to see the reaction and the reception we receive when we return. Because I already told my colleagues it's up and it's stuck when I get back on the House floor. I'm going directly to some of these people. Oh, they know me. They know me one on one, and we're gonna have a conversation. Because all I'm gonna do is have my phone out like this. So, what was all this about? And I want to hear
Yeah.
the response.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's
You,
also interesting too, because if you think about it, is when you make it okay for the FBI to try to come and get people, which they can't, they're terrified also of, if I call the Democrat, am I going to be on that list of people who called and said the right thing? And then they get scared. But guess what? By them being silent and complicit, it makes them say it's okay. Going back to what Rep. Simmons said is democracy doesn't end in just a flash, like in a movie. This ends because you don't say anything. And the thing is, there's so many of them who are terrified to just say, hey, or if they do, don't say anything. I don't want to get dragged into this. And so it's just like, that's still silence. That's still complicity.
So where are we now? What is, Rep. Jones, tell me what's the status now? I know yesterday Abbott said that he was going to call a special session again and that they're soon to push y'all out of office. So what do you give us the end game? What's going to happen next? And what are you all as a caucus going to do? I know the Legislative Black Caucus has been very unified of all of the caucuses. And, like the CBC is the conscience of the Congress. I know you all represent the conscience of the legislature down there in Texas. So walk us through what's next and what's the end game here.
Well, we know that when we do not return on Friday, that the speaker and the lieutenant governor and governor will end the first special session, in which we already know the governor will immediately call another special session. We're already resolved to continue to fight this. And we are having, critical conversations, not only with each other, but, everyone else that has been involved in what is going on, so that we can map next steps. What we are proud of in this moment was our initial mission, which was to get this to the national stage as soon as possible, because if we did nothing, these maps would be passed already.
Yeah.
And because we held out, we were able to bring this to the national stage and made this to where no one could ignore this very important conversation. And so now we wait for California to release those maps. We wait to see what Illinois is going to do. We wait to see what New York is going to do. And we continue to talk to other states because we know what is going on. And dare I say that this is the, to say lightly, that foundation of that civil war we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
And literally this war between red and blue states, because on the flip side, you've already heard whispers and conversations about Texas, about Ohio, about, other states, other southern states. Really, literally, we're having to put our congressional seats up and fight this way while we're still navigating the courts. And in blue states, their state courts and state legislative bodies have been phenomenal in really holding the line against the federal government. In Texas, we have a very different dynamic in which our federal government are working hand in hand. Our state government is working hand in hand to implement Trump's playbook. And that is the challenge that we are seeing. And so just being able to strategize and work with people like yourself and other leaders, particularly Black leaders, to understand this issue and how do we really strategize, because this is a all hands on deck, the village is needed conversation. Hootie hoo, the people are here. We need to do something about this.
So up the black baseball cap, we
right.
we ringing the alarm.
Right.
But, yeah. So
we've been through this too long.
Yeah.
Listen.
But yeah, we're gonna keep it real here. How long do you all anticipate potentially staying out of the state? And second part of that question is, what in the world can the rest of us who don't live in Texas, what can we do in order to be helpful to you all in terms of, again, you got paying jobs that you're now not doing. I mean, you got bills that you all have to pay because, when we represent Black districts, we are not, billionaires and millionaires, right? So what can folks do in order to be supportive of you all as you continue to hold out and protect democracy, not only in Texas, but also across the country?
I'll be real brief and turn it back to my colleagues. To answer your first question, how long are we going to be gone? We don't know. Like, every day, this is day by day by day.
Mhm.
And every day we are glued in front of our screens, watching the House floor and watching what's happened. And we're going to continue that fight. And we need every prayer, every thought, every ideal on how to maintain what is going on, because right now it's not sustainable. And we have to be able to understand, what does a sustainable fight looks like. So that then brings us to the conversation about, what do we need from our partners in addition to prayers and you know, and support. You know, we need funding and resources, not just for, you know, I know the bigger conversation have been around, you know, fines and different things like that, but no, capacity, legal support,
Absolutely.
communications to spread this message out, staff to be able to do this, because literally we had to build the plane and fly it on the way out of town to get our capacity where we needed it to be. So we really need that support and capacity to come up with some next steps. And so that's what's happening, because again, this isn't our full-time roles. And if we could give 1000% of this, because you know, at Congress, you know, they get a salary, and even my local city council in Dallas, they get, you know, almost $70,000. We have to go
Everybody make
back
more
and
than
forth,
us.
you know, with this. So we need, right. So we need the minds that understand this conversation, not only from this state nuance perspective, but from this national stage, because this is a national problem. So that's why we left this state, to say we need folks on to pay attention to Texas, because it's and I mean, you've known this through your previous roles. Everybody haven't had always the same magnifying glass on the state of Texas. And so Texas has begged
Yes.
for years
Ye-
for the attention that we are asking for right now, because there were opportunities in Texas that are not about to be available soon. So that's why what we need right now, people paying attention to Texas.
We're the canary in the coal mine.
I want to add that Rep. Jones said it just amazingly. The biggest thing is, we have the largest population of Black people in any state. And we are the state that is consistently forgotten when we ask for any kind of resources, because it's always given to just the battleground states. But we are a battleground state. We are a purple state, and we cannot get help. And the one thing I will say is, I'm just going to just add on right on top of what Rep. Jones said is, after this is over, whenever it is that we go back, don't forget about Texas Democrats. Remember that we are the ones who started this fire that has everyone just up in arms. When you're thinking about donating to other states, I'm not saying don't give to them, but if you have $100, can you save $30, $40 for us and send it to us? Because the biggest problem that we have is, people keep saying that we're just a red state and they just leave us alone. But no, we have to we are the largest, we're the second largest state. And if I go from where my district is to go to El Paso, that's 12 hours by car. How do I run statewide and get somebody to listen to me from Port Arthur all the way to El Paso? If I need to go visit and check on Rep. Jones, that's nearly a 5-hour drive. That's 2 hours for Rep. Simmons, 2.5, 15 hours to go see Rep. Johnson. We have to truck. We got to get together. And for me, I am the only little blue dot at the end of East Texas. And it's Republican, 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 Republican. It takes me nearly 2 hours to just get to the nearest Democrat. We don't forget about us. We are literally fighting for our lives, and we're fighting for this country. Don't forget about us when this is over. So when you're saying out something, even you, if you can just remember, hey, 2 months from now, don't forget about those Texas Democrats who started this. 6 months from now, hey, if you know someone in politics, hey, you got $100 million to give, make sure you're sending $20 or $30 million to Texas, because we need the help. We can't get it, and we desperately need it.
We're the ones holding the
I've often
line.
said, oh, you are. I often said that if we ever flip Texas, when we flip Texas, not if we when we flip Texas, game over.
That's it. It's a wrap.
And this is why the Republicans, it's game over. I mean, because that is the heart of Republican power, is the state of Texas. Particularly on the national level, on the electoral map, on the, you think about U.S. Senate, you think about Congress, Democrats flipping Texas, game over. And this is why they fight so damn hard to do the things to really hold folks back. It feels like we are in the second post-Reconstruction, literally
Yes.
removing
Yes.
Black and brown people from
Yes.
office.
Systemically.
It literally feels that way.
somebody told me this is the third wave of the deconstruction of Reconstruction.
It
Yep.
is. I mean, we
Facts.
see it. The Republican Party
It
in
gives me
Texas,
goosebumps thinking about it.
yeah, the Republican Party in Texas thrives from the neglect that has happened over decades from the Democratic
Yep.
side with our state. And I think for us, if anything, and I say this about everything because I come from the labor movement, I say this about, the labor movement should be more invested to in Texas. But you, first of all, you would save yourself a lot of trouble because look how many electoral college, votes we have. You win Texas, that's it. But
Yes.
also coming and talking to us because
Right.
because Democrats in Texas are built different. We like our guns and we like our Bibles too. And we know how to, and some of us, a lot of us know how to win
Right.
elections. We know how to talk across the aisle. We know how to work across the
Mm-hmm.
aisle. And so, when you're talking about the national landscape of our party and the frustration from, a lot of our supporters and people who call themselves Democrats, we're having different conversations with our constituents in Texas and we're ready to fight. And the thing is, if you would come to
Yeah.
us and not just invest resources, but allow us to also lead conversations, I think we would see just a national shift because,
Yep.
again, we have different conversations. Texas Democrats are just built different. We don't just know how to take a punch; we can punch back, and you're watching us punch back. And so, my
Yep.
hope is that this moment does ignite something different, not just from a standpoint of, we're gearing up and we're pushing back, but as we go into 26, as we go into 28, that, we're thinking about what it really means to have a party that is
Mm-hmm.
for working people, a party that is focused on the needs of everyday Americans. And you have to remember, some talent comes out of this state. We talk about Barbara Jordan, but you also got to remember we had a Democratic president from Texas, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who made some things shake. And so I think our party really, really, really has to not just invest for the emergency times, but really put that significant investment so we can win some elections. Like we play good defense, and I think we've shown that time and time again, but it would be very nice to play some offense sometimes too.
Your
Yeah.
cousins are getting
Being
jumped
a.
right now. Can you
Mhm.
just come in and help us? Look, we going like
We got
as I tell people,
hands.
we gonna have a busted lip and an eye. But my thing is,
We
can
got
you
some
come
licks
help
in.
us? Look, somebody
We
come
gonna
get
get
this
some
big
licks
man
in.
off us. We hitting, but we need y'all help. Like, don't
Yes.
leave us on the
Yeah.
floor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna know if we being a Democrat in a red state is tough. You gotta know how to fight. We may not win every time, but they gonna know they win a
They,
fight with a
they
Democrat.
don't
Listen,
They
know they're
gonna
in
know
a
they've
fight.
been in a
Listen,
fight.
I can relate to that being from South Carolina. I know
Right.
I can relate to that every step of the way. And that's one of the things that I hope that nationally Democrats will understand, that you got to invest in the South. You got to
Yeah.
invest
Hmm.
in these states with large Black and brown populations. And you can't just, because if you don't, then you allow the extremes that come from our
Yeah.
states to then
hmm
dominate what happens for the whole nation.
Yep.
Right? Think about if we could win some more seats in Texas, and
Yep.
how less extreme than Republicans in the House and the Senate would be as a result of it. And
Yeah.
you guys got big elections coming up in 2026. You got a U.S. Senate race. Is your governor's race in 26 also?
Yes.
And lieutenant governor.
And lieutenant
Yes.
governor
Yes.
and attorney general, right?
Yes.
These are big races. If we invest in Texas in 26 and make some gains in Texas, that sets us up for 2028. It
Correct.
sets us up for the presidential in
Yep.
that state, and that would be huge. It is already, and I'm preaching to the choir with y'all, but I'm saying this to other people who are watching. It is already a majority minority state. We just got to wake people the hell up so they
That's right.
understand what is at stake and get them to the polls and let them know that we give a damn about them, that we're going to fight for them, right? That's
Right.
why people feel lethargic. They feel like they're forgotten. Nobody talks about them. Nobody invests in them. And so why
Yep.
turn out if nobody if is ever going to pay any attention to them? So I hope the silver lining of what you all are doing right now is waking some of our larger, biggest donors and some of the leaders in the party that will decide where the funds are going. I just talked to DNC Chairman Ken Martin the other day, today actually, and he said that we're sending a lot of messages into Texas, that he is talking to the state party chair about more investments to the state party. He's trying to help as much as he can, and I believe Ken's a man of his word as a former state party chair himself. I know he's going to do everything that they can, but I hope other leaders in the party also hear what you all and see what you all are doing and the sacrifices you're making moving
Rep.
forward.
Johnson always
I
says
know that
something
we're going to wrap, but
profound.
soon. I do want to give each one of you an opportunity to just kind of put a bow on this conversation about what is it that I mean. They're sending the police after you. They're finding you. They're trying to kick you all out of the legislature. So I got that's I'm saying all that to do two things. On this podcast, I give people an opportunity to kind of give their closing thought, but I also give them an opportunity to provide an award to somebody. And the award is called your Sit Your Ass Down Award. I'm gonna go to each one of you and ask you, who would you present the Sit Your Ass Down Award to in Texas or anywhere in the country? And then as you present your award, give me your closing thoughts as we close down this conversation.
Can I go first? Because I'll do mine quick because I'm going to get in trouble for mine.
There we
I'm
go.
going to do mine to an easy target. This is to Senator
Yeah.
John Cornyn. Sit
Oh,
your ass down. We all know you scared of Ken Paxton and you scared to lose. So now you trying to act ultra MAGA. You know that's not who you been, buddy. Sit your ass down. Okay, now I'm going to get in trouble for that, but I'm going to say sit your ass down. Look, to everybody out here listening, we appreciate you and we love you and thank you so much for uplifting us and keeping us together. We got each other, but what we need to know is that you all got us. So make a sign, put it on a post-it, and just write, I'm not going to forget about those Texas Democrats. Check on us. Ask us how we doing. Call our offices. Check our web pages. We love you. We appreciate you. And that's the reason that we're doing this. We're not just doing it for us. We're doing it for us, for we. And so just don't forget about us. Don't forget about your cousins that hit that bully in the nose. Don't run on the bus. Come get in the fight with us.
I love it. I love it.
I would
Representative
give
Jones.
I would give the Sit Your Ass Down award to a broad one, to every Republican who worked to try to form weapons that they thought would prosper. We stood strong. We're standing strong and continuing to fight. And this fight is not about us. It's about the people that we represent, the people that we get strength from every day, in which I would say I'm so grateful to my constituents. I'm grateful to my family. I'm grateful to everyone for the phone calls every day and everything that they continue to pour. My grandmother, she calls every day at ungodly early hours when I'm trying to get sleep, but she calls just to check in. And she's like, I saw the news. I saw you. And that's so amazing. And so what I would tell everyone, and in my closing remarks is don't make this about us. Make this about the issues that we're continuing to fight for. That's important to us all. Good health care, great education, also, addressing our economy right now. Those are the things that are on the line right now. And it's not just about our maps. All these things are connected, and that is why we are fighting. And this is just the beginning. And we are continuing that fight to our midterm elections right now, because we know the backbone of the Democratic Party is the Black community. And we know that we have to continue to elevate our presence in this conversation so that our people will show up. And when we show up, they show out. So thank you.
so I would give my Sit Your Ass Down award to, and I have to, Rep. Jones, that's where I was going in the same direction, is the entire Republican Party of Texas for 30 years of failed leadership, of nonsense, culture wars, and just being a complete bore, if you want to be honest. Like they don't have no ideas, they have nothing to offer, and it's about time that we go in a different direction. But I wanted to say, and I was saying this earlier, that Rev Johnson always says something profound when we're talking about, I'm sorry, Ward Johnson, when we're talking about the investment in Texas, is that Texas is the purse. People come down to Texas and raise money. People that run nationally in the Democratic Party never forget to have Texas as a fundraising stop. And so we've shown our commitment in a lot of ways. We have invested in others. And so it's time for that to come back into the state in a real way, in a major way. And it's money, it's resources, but it's also airtime. Come talk to us about the issues that matter to people. Put us on the front stage, because even right now, you see one of our most profound and prolific fighters on the national stage is Representative Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who is a dynamic fundraiser. And so it takes money to win. And, we are trying to win hearts and minds. We're trying to defend our democracy. We're trying to make sure that this country, is around and better for our children and our children's children and generations to come. And I think we, have seen the overwhelming support from our people. It's because they have waited so long to see Democrats fight back. They want to know that we care. They want to know that they matter. And so again, put that resource investment back into the state of Texas. Make sure that we're in those rooms when decisions are being made, that we're at those tables, that our voices are not just, amplified in times of crisis. Because, I say this, a lot of what is happening now is because we've been neglected for so long. But I'm excited to be a Texas Democrat. I'm excited as hell to be a red state Democrat. I think we're seeing, something that is growing and swelling, and we've inspired so many people, and we're passing the baton. We want to make sure that we're not the only ones in this race. We are bringing everybody to the fight with us. So it's a good time to be a Texas Democrat.
Thank you, Rep. Simmons. And last but not least, Representative Charlene Ward Johnson.
My award goes to Ken Paxton. Sit your cheating behind down. And all the Republicans that wanted to put the 10 Commandments in the school, you forgot one of the commandments. So that's what I have to say to you. Go read the 10 Commandments and obey them before you put them in the classrooms. Thank you.
Well, do you have any other closing thoughts? Anything else you wanted to make sure that everybody else heard? I also want to get from you all, if you have a website or someplace where folks who want to make a contribution to your efforts to help out all of the state reps, to help out the Legislative Black Caucus, if there's some website or something that we can reference, that would be helpful, just so we can put out there so that people can provide some additional financial assistance in addition to the moral assistance.
You know how to say it better than I do. You got this one. You know how to do it.
If you'd like to donate to the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, you can do it in two easy ways. You can text the letters TXLBC25 to the number 53555. Again, text TXLBC25 to the number 53555. Or you can go to Give Butter /give TXLBC25. Once again, Give Butter /give TXLBC25.
And that's why he keeps us in line.
Absolutely love it. So, folks, I know we got ties to do and all that other stuff, but let's give our brothers and sisters in Texas a little love too. I think the Lord would appreciate the work that they're doing right now, because they are really fighting to save democracy. They're fighting for our rights, for not only the people in Texas, but all of our rights. And so we really want to be supportive. I'm going to make sure that talk to my people in my pack, and we'll send a contribution as well to support you all, because folks, we have to support our brothers and sisters on the front line of this fight, and they're doing it in Texas. And let's not just do it one time. Let's continue to invest in Texas, because again, y'all, if we do Texas right, when we flip Texas, it is game over. It is game over. So let's make sure that we continue to move forward on this.
Nuck if you buck. That's what we need.
Period.
Help us have a hot boy and girl summer. That's what we
Okay.
need.
We appreciate, giving us the opportunity to share that because we need all the support. And again, I remind folks, we're part-time legislators with
Mhm.
part-time salaries, and
Mhm.
many of us on an individual basis use our campaign funds to supplement our state staff salaries because our state budgets are so small. So in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
we almost pay to do this work, but it's worth it. Our people are worth it, and we love it.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you all for the sacrifices you are making. Thank your families as well for the sacrifices that they are
Thank you.
making, having you in office. And thank you all for standing up and fighting for democracy. We really appreciate it. And it has been indeed my pleasure to have you at our table for this very special episode. And I hope to come down to Texas and maybe we're going to knock on some doors with some of our Legislative Black Caucus members as well.
Well,
So
Let's do
thank
that.
y'all. Thank you again for the sacrifices.
thank you
Thank you.
so much.
If you enjoyed today's show, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pixel Plus, or anywhere you find your podcasts. To be the first to know who will be at our table next, be sure to subscribe to our Substack on atourtablepodcast.com. At Our Table with Jamie Harrison is a production of Vision Blue Media. Our founding executive producers are Jason Hayter and Jamie Harrison. Our producers are Kyle Kelly and Emily Harrell. Our content consultants are Ernie Grigg and Clay Middleton. Our digital communications are led by Celie Riccio. Neil Rossini of FWRV LLP provides production legal. Alana Davis is our intern. Title sequence by Tom Hunt. Our theme song, Blonde Gone, is written by Dewey and published by Alibi Music Library. Very special thanks to the members of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus for joining us for this bonus episode. Tune in next week for my interview with Congresswoman Sarah McBride of Delaware. I'm Jamie Harrison, and I look forward to another conversation at our table.